Hey guys, this is MonteCristo. Today we're going to be taking a look at the most hyped up player in the world right now. His name is Milkyway. He's the jungler for FPX over in the LPL, and he is seemingly willing this FunPlus Phoenix team into the top 4 in arguably the toughest League of Legends league in the entire world. Now, if you haven't seen him, prepare yourself for a treat. I have provided you some kind of early game pathing to see his intelligence, as well as some team fighting and clutch plays for you to digest his play style and bask in his glory. Many of the fans are calling him Lisan Al-Gaib right now. They really missed out. It should be Lee Sin Al-Gaib. He's a jungler after all. But remember to subscribe to my channel and like this video, does help out a lot. And we'll get you further videos where I do player breakdowns. So let's check out Milkyway and what is making him so great. I've even compared him to Faker in some of Faker's debut games. That's how spectacular Milkyway has been so far. Let's take a look. All right, so first up, let's look at some pathing, because you're going to see how Milkyway uses some very quick timing windows in order to get some pretty significant early game advantages. So, for example, early ward down here onto the Raptors to track Tien's pathing. And as you're going to see, this really will make a big difference, because Tien is going to path right from Raptors here up to the red buff, then to Krugs, and then double back into the other side of his jungle. Meanwhile, we are going to see Milkyway do everything just a little bit faster. Tien also makes a pass through the mid lane, and he is going to waste a little bit of time trying to get a quick gank onto Care at level 3, which does make a big difference, because that means Milkyway has an opportunity to gank the bot side as it pushes in. Now, Ezreal plus Ashe with Hail of Blades is going to push into Senna Nautilus early, and Milkyway knows this. So he's going to exploit that as they come down the wave crash. A little bit of trading here in the early game. So Xin Zhao starting blue, then going to Gromp. We are going to see Tien then taking his red buff, going to Krugs before he crosses over into the mid lane in order to try and get a gank onto Care. So here's the gank onto Care. As you can see, Milkyway already doing his Raptors. Care is going to be able to dodge out from this gank by flashing away from the Lee Sin Q. This means that they know again where Tien is as he heads into the bottom side of his jungle. Now we're going to see 5 camps taken by Milkyway into Krugs, so he's going to hit level 4 compared to level 3 on Tien, who is a couple camps behind. We do see the red buff get taken. He's going to check the river there. There is no Xin Zhao using the Scryer's Bloom. Milkyway hits 4. He's going to start walking over. They might have seen the Scryer's Bloom right here, but regardless, they're going to use this timing just to go in onto Jackie Love and Mako, knowing that the Lee Sin probably can't be there. They have a very limited amount of time, so they're going to quickly all in. Great decisiveness, Life just flashing forward while they are in the alcove, picks up first blood, and then they're going to get another kill. Tien is here, but he's only level 3, remember? And so now, going to get the final kill, so it will be 3 kills over on to the side of FPX. Life barely surviving, so 3 for 1. And that's just an example of how Milkyway does a quick early game read on his opponent, knows which lane states are going to be beneficial to him, and finds that timing window off of Tien's little bit slower pathway as he doubled back to Krugs to the bot side, as well as his gank in the mid lane, and exploiting a level advantage that he had 4 versus 3. Next up, let's look at some pathing here in a disadvantageous situation. So Milkyway here is just trying to make the most of all of his lanes being shoved in on the Jax early on, because BLG is very good at aggressively invading with pushing lanes, courtesy of Jhin. This is one of the main features of BLG's play this year. Milkyway is going to have some trouble. Both junglers hit level 3 off of 3 camps, and this is where the torture begins. So Jhin realizes that they have prio in mid and top, so he is simply going to walk into Milkyway's red buff. Now, Jhin is seen because there's a ward that was placed right here. He is aware that Jhin might invade. Again, very aware of possible lane states, and he's going to try and just skirt around, knowing that he may not be able to. He actually sees the red buff right here, decides not to go for it, that Jhin is likely wading into that brush. And so he's playing very cautiously as a result. Not much he can actually do here. He can't win the 1v1 versus Jhin. First off, the Xin Zhao is just a very good skirmisher in the early game, whereas Milkyway is playing the Jax, which is hoping more to scale. And Jhin as well has that red buff, which makes things a little bit more complicated. So he is able to get Krugs, though. Knight is just checking up to see if Jun needs any help. And Milkyway just has to recall. And he's going to head down into bottom Scuttle Crab, just trying to get any kind of advantage that he can. Tries to make a little bit of a pass here onto the mid wave now that Care has actually stacked up his stun. Not going to get much done, though. Knight knows what's up, sees Milkyway coming off of the minion wave, and steps away Jun. They're also prepared to counter gank if necessary. Not a lot you can do here, because again, mid's going to keep pushing. You're not in a situation where you will be able to take this 2v2 yet, at least not until Annie hits 6, and maybe not even then. So they know they're going to probably try and prioritize this Drake right at 5 minutes. He goes back, re-clears out a couple of his camps that have respawned on the bot side where he started his jungle pathing, and then he is going to head up and at least try and cross map. So uses a ward to hop over to the pit. Takes away one of the grubs, so at least denying the 6 stack. Knight is well aware of where he could be at this point in time. Does necessitate the second ward from his trinket being placed down in order to wall hop over. Knight comes up and actually picks up the kill here on Zhao Lao, who is also ulted by the Aatrox. So you can see he's trying desperately to figure out the pathing of Jun and suffer less damage in this early game. And for a jungler who's been invaded early, who's losing pressure on all 3 lanes, having only be 5 CS down and basically 1 stack on his jungle item down is a pretty big success. He later on in this game goes to get 9 kills on Jax and theoretically might be in a position to carry, but the team is just too far behind and BLG is too good at pushing their lead, even though eventually they do get the smolder stacks. So you guys can watch out the rest of the game if you want, but we're going to turn our attention now to some team fighting, which is very exciting. We're going to start looking now at some of the team fighting, which is really quite thrilling from Milkyway, as well as some of his clutch moments. And we're going to take them sequentially from the last few weeks of play when FPX really started to beat some very good teams. This is from game 1 of Weibo versus FPX. And you're going to see Milkyway do some amazing Kindred play right here, as he's actually going to steal a Baron in a very clever fashion. Watch Milkyway. He's coming in from the flank right here. There's a Kalista on Weibo. Light's playing Kalista, and Zhao Hao is on Sejuani. So they are currently trying to combo Smite and Rend. There's a bunch of Kalista spears in here. Milkyway is actually going to walk up. He's going to predict the Smite Rend combo, and he's going to pop Kindred ult to prevent them from executing the Baron. So the Smite damage will go through, but the Rend does not execute the Baron, and he buys time. Crucially, Zhao Hao's Smite is also on a 15-second cooldown, because even though he had 2 charges, he uses that Smite. So now it's at 1500, just sitting there, waiting for this Kindred ult to end. He does get knocked up here, but at the same time, you'll see him, he lands autos. It's within the 1200 smite range. He smites and then is able to flash over the wall immediately. This is such an impressive and clutch Baron steal. It is absolutely crazy. Now, later in this very same game, we have another really clutch play from Milkyway. They have given up 4 Hextech Drakes in a row and are on the verge of just losing this game. The Hextech Soul has been given over to Weibo. It's looking really grim. And that's when Milkyway is going to pull off just an amazing play to kill Zhao Hu's Azir in the backline. So first off, this is an excellent Baron call. It's a bit desperate, but they have 3 AD carries, Ashe, Ezreal, and the Kindred. So you'll see how fast they're able just to melt this Baron. So they have a very limited time window, but they get the kill super quickly. They then start to kite and back off, probably not wanting to fight this, but they're a little bit on the wrong side of the map. So Zhao Hu is a little low, and he just gets hopped on by Milkyway going aggressive over the wall. He gets swept out by the Azir ult. There's the Zhonya's being pressed. Milkyway then decides, I've got GA. I'm going to go back over the wall again, pop my ultimate, dual ZDZ, wait for the ultimate to end. His entire team actually gets a heal from this. You can see right here, his entire team gets within the Kindred ultimate and gets healed. They trigger ZDZ's GA, okay? Kindred's also GA also gets triggered here, but they're able just to pounce on ZDZ right as he comes back up. And then they end the game. So they trade 5 for 3, TP back into the mid lane, in order to pick off Sejuani, who's trying to control this wave so they don't just end the game immediately. So it's a 5 for 4 in spite of the fact that Hextech Soul is on the enemy team. And it's all thanks to Milky Way's backline access there and having a very clutch Kindred ult one more time. All right, guys, this clip is from the second game of the Weibo versus FPX series. It's another Kindred game from Milky Way, and he shows you why it's being banned against him in virtually every game that he is playing in the LPL right now. So he goes ahead, takes the first Drake from this game here at 9 minutes, and then he's going to turn around this gank that's happening. It's a dive that's going through in the bot side. Xiaohu is down here for the 4 versus 2. Milky Way decides, screw it, let's go in, even though they've already taken out Dokdam's Ashe. Okay? Kara is also here. Watch Milky Way. He's going to get scooped in by the Azir, has no flash, pops the Kindred ult immediately, gets onto Crisp, kills Crisp to get a mark, and then doubles back onto Xiaohu. But great heads-up awareness, comes away with a kill here, and he kind of turns around to playing, including getting 2 crucial kills for himself, which later really helps him to carry out the rest of this game. If you guys want to see a player play on the edge, I think one of the most exciting things about Milky Way is how aggressive he is, even with very low HP. So you can see his confidence here in this play. He is going to just dash forward onto Xiao Hao. And crucially, ZDZ is playing top lane Smolder, who has 225 stacks here at 25 minutes into the game. And you'll see that he really plays at the very edge of the execute range in this upcoming team fight. So they're forced to back away due to some poke damage at the start of this Drake fight. They are playing for Soul right now, so they really would like to get this, especially because Mountain Soul is very helpful versus a stacked up Smolder. Poppy ults, just going to get canceled, not actually going to go through. Puts it on that 15-second cooldown. So they decide to go in on this fight, thanks to Life, who is now back alive again and has walked his way into this fight. Milky Way, again, in the front line, gets hit. Look at the fortitude right here. He actually just doesn't pop Kindred ult because he knows there's not any additional damage, even though he's so close to dying. So he's going to pick up the shield here with the Mountain Soul. Then he's going to go back in, gets Poppy wall banged, dashes back, kills Poppy because he's not stunned, flashes forward on to the Smolder, is about to die, and at the last possible second, he pops the Kindred ultimate, holding it until the very end so he can make an aggressive flash play. This is such an impressive read by a Kindred as he just goes all in on that objective. This play is really going to show the great synergy between Milky Way and Life. This is again from the BLG versus FPX game that we were watching earlier on and discussing in terms of his pathing. And what's critical here is that Life really does roam very aggressively and abandon Dokdam a lot of the time simply to link up with Milky Way and provide pressure and get Milky Way fed. Life here, notice as I go back, he actually starts moving into this pushed lane right as Milky Way is at Raptors. Now, Care is 6 right now, so they want to make a play in the mid lane, and so they start moving Life up immediately on already here, right? Does take a lot of damage, barely survives, but Life is moving up. He's trying to intercept Knight now, does get him right at the entrance to his own jungle, and that's the first kill onto Milky Way. Milky Way now decides, well, On is low, so we have an advantage. I can push this even further. Invades Jun's jungle and goes after his red buff. So Jun coming back down to the red buff right now. Care was at low HP and has recalled. Remember that Knight has revived and is running into the jungle. But they're not done yet. They are still going to push this a little bit forward and see how much of an advantage they can get. Jun doesn't actually get the smite. Now, I want you to watch this closely. Milky Way comes back down. The smite will actually trigger him to get level 6, which then allows him to all in the level 5 Xin Zhao. Xin Zhao's smite is down, does not have it available, and he uses the ward being placed and the instant of vision it gives before it's blacked out by the pink ward to get the smite down and then move forward. So now Jun's going to be in real trouble. Milky Way is able to pop ult, get the kill onto Jun, and then he's got Dokdam for backup here using the Smolder ultimate. He's going to W to the leap strike rather to the blast cone, and then he's going to just instantly get out. It does end up with Elk, picking up a kill here onto life. So perhaps a little bit too aggressive an invade. But this goes to show how much FPX really plays around Milky Way and enables his aggression and gets him kills so that he can carry. As I said earlier, one of the amazing things about watching Milky Way play is watching him play right on the edge of his HP bar. And you're going to see some incredible Lee Sin mechanics as we head into this next part. So there's a skirmish happening in their game that they played against IG. And they are just trying to play around the Void Grubs right now. This is the second Void Grub spawn. FPX took the first 3. Life is again on the support rumble, which is very common for FPX. So they're going to get pulled into this fight right away. Good equalizer. But watch how low we are going to see Milky Way go on this Lee Sin. Okay? He gets actually rooted by the Nico and nearly bursts down entirely. He actually is going to get his Q2 down onto Wink, which helps get the kill, although life takes it. He finds himself in a position where it's going to be very easy to kick on Samira towards his own turret, where Care is waiting. Turret shot's going to hit him, as well as the Karma. He then is going to flash out, so keep eyes on Milky Way here. Gets the kick out, W's to life, barely stays alive, flashes out as Cryan flashes to pursue him. Milky Way then hits the Q1. And you think, a normal player would not go back in. No, he's not normal. Picks up the Karma Shield while he's flying in to take his Q2, kills Cryan, and he's not done yet. He's not done yet, guys. He gets back out of the fight again. Conqueror gets proc. Then he's going to hit the Q, and then Q2 again, barely under the turret with Zhao Lao, who already have taken that aggro. And Milky Way just plays on the very edge. You can take a look at this again. It is really amazing to watch. He's so close to dying, still helps get a kill. Then he gets the kickoff, flashes away, manages to live. Q1, Q2, again, gets out. Yushinomi is here, hits the Q, Q2 again to help finish off the kill. Really extraordinary skirmishing and just knowledge of his limits within this fight. Thank you very much for watching. Remember to like and subscribe. See you next time.